All right, guys, welcome. Thanks for making some time to work on yourself today. Um, in the chat box, I have put the link to just a website that we're going to quickly look at to start coaching today. Today's coaching, just so y'all are aware, is really nothing real estate related, and yet it's all real estate related, if that makes sense. Meaning, that would.
I was going to get in on my iPad.
Hold on one second.
It's asking for a password.
Hold on, I think I can mute you. All right, you should be good. No, turn the volume down. Okay, so it's not about real estate, but it is about real estate, meaning that the number one most important thing that we have is our minds and our mental fortitude. And if that's not right, if our minds aren't right, then I hate to say it, guys, but we're going to struggle to be really good at being realtors. And I say that because our role as realtor is fiduciary, meaning really what that means is you're taking care of other people. And if you can't take care of your own mind, then you're going to struggle to take care of other people. Because a lot of what we're doing in this role is talking people off ledges or talking people into feeling some way about a home. But if we're struggling with our internal monologue, which you guys have probably heard that term before, internal monologue, then it's going to be challenging for us to fill other people up. So if y'all don't mind, does everyone have, I'm going to copy and paste this one more time in the chat. In the chat box, you're going to see a link. It is to a website that you can pull up, and it's a 10-minute read. I hate giving homework out because I know you're all busy, okay? I don't like that term busy because everyone's busy. In our own way, we all think we're so busy, and some of us really are. But with other jobs and other things that take our time away, I don't like to give homework. So what we're going to do is something a little different today. We're going to start today's coaching by reading. So if you could, I'm going to silence myself. Everyone silence yourself, pull up the link, and we're just going to take the first 10 to 15 minutes and read. I want to encourage you to write down a couple of things that stand out to you, and then we're going to discuss. This conversation that we're having today is all about our internal monologue and what is said inside our brains about ourselves. This is so important. A lot of us have attended BOLD before. BOLD teaches us to think about how we think. Well, these soundtracks that play over and over in our minds can either empower us to be great or tear us down. So just want to think about how we think today. I'm going to mute myself. If you don't have the link or can't pull it up, then just shoot me a note or just speak up. There are pop-ups, so don't be confused. It's just one document you're reading. All right, guys. Hopefully you got through at least some of the article. This is a recap of a book written by John Acuff, and the book is called Soundtracks. I'm sure it's a lot longer than what we just read. Apparently, this guy's somewhat of a comedian. I don't know much about him. I was just introduced to this last week. But I know he does a lot of speaking to large groups, large companies, etc. And so one of the things that he's written about is what we are talking about inside our own heads. And it can be dangerous and it can be dark in some situations. What were some takeaways, guys? Let's just open it up for conversation. What was maybe one thing that stood out from the conversation here?
I like that he said he recognized that the voices or whatever is going on in your head won't go away completely, but to turn the volume down. I like that a lot. Turn the volume down.
Thank you, Hugh. Keep
I
them
like the
coming,
part
guys.
where it said,
We're just going to go right down the list, and one takeaway per person, please. Aaron, I think you were talking.
yeah, I like the part where it says, if you wouldn't say it to your friend, don't say it to yourself. Just a reminder, we're often more mean to ourselves than we are to anyone else. So if you wouldn't say it to someone that you call a friend, don't say it to yourself.
I love that. And so I go back to, so there's this class called BOLD. It's BOLD. I'm going to type it in the chat. And this is timely for us to talk about this. BOLD is a Keller Williams class that is 7 weeks long, and it's all aimed at building a life by design. So it's literally focusing on thinking really big and not just living life day by day and kind of winging it, but really having intentionality behind your life. One of the key components of BOLD is, I don't know if you guys can see my bracelet here, but I've got this bracelet. It literally says BOLD on it. It's purple. Purple is BOLD's color. And the reason they give us this bracelet is because anytime you have a negative thought inside your own head, you're supposed to snap it. It's kind of like a rubber band. You could do the same thing with a rubber band or a bracelet or something like that. But you're inflicting yourself with just a temporary sting that is a physical deterrent of having continuous bad thoughts or negative thoughts. I mean, how many of us have access to a rubber band? We all do. I encourage y'all, if you don't have something like this, start thinking about how you're thinking. And when you have ugly, nasty, like negative thoughts, literally just flick it and you're physically reminded, okay, I need to stop that. So good call out, Aaron.
Josh, I was about to say something similar to that as well. It's just being kind. Is your thoughts kind? And would you say that to a friend? Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Victor says, overthinking is one of the costliest things on earth because it wastes time, creativity, and productivity. How many of you, and I can totally identify with this. How many of you guys have imaginary problems that become your number one hurdle in a day? It's like imaginary, where you've literally made it up. You've made up the scenario that like, oh, that person says they want to call me. And then you start creating transcripts in your head about how that conversation is going to go and what they want to say to you. They want to fire me. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. And then they get on the call and then there's nothing like that at all. But you just created stress. It wasted your time. It totally wasted your energy and productivity because you weren't thinking about other things that were fruitful. And instead you were just focusing on what could happen. And it wasn't even true. It's a good call out, Vic.
I think for me
Hold
personally,
on 1 second. Sorry. Tasha, what were you gonna say?
That I like the spare change one. The get more. get more back out of it.
Everybody needs their.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a mental thing. So they said the spare change piece there. So if you just did a little bit extra every day, that stuff really adds up and it turns into productivity. So how could we take that and turn it into a real estate thing? Well, if my goal today was to lead generate for 2 hours, maybe at 2 hour mark, I say, let's just do 5 more minutes. And maybe who knows what's going to happen in that 5 more minutes. Maybe you land that deal that you've been looking for all day. Or maybe you get in touch with that person who's a connector who's going to be a VIP for you in the future.
Mhm.
So I love that. Thanks, Otasia and Brandy. Go ahead, Henry.
Yeah, so I was gonna say that I like the part where it says is it helpful? Because I mean I know personally I don't really think about that when my mind's going like, oh my God, like when you mentioned earlier, like if someone wants to call you, you're like, oh my God, they're gonna fire me. What's gonna happen? I mean, is that really helpful? Is that really productive towards what's gonna happen? So that's a kind of like it's good. It's kind of good to like ask a question, like they said, like doctor, like asking additional questions and get a second quote unquote opinion on that. So I like that part.
Yeah, and what you guys have here, that Henry, that point that you just ended with should not go unnoticed, and that's that second opinion piece. When you're struggling with something internally, do you have somebody in your life that you can talk to? I'm not talking like a therapist. I mean, sure, if you have one, that's awesome. But I'm talking like a free person that doesn't cost any money, maybe a spouse or a friend or a family member, a mom or dad or brother, sister that you trust to just say, hey, like in my head, I'm thinking this. Am I wrong? Am I off here? And most of the time they're going to set you straight and say, no, what are you doing? You're killing yourself here. That's crazy. And you're not crazy, because all of us struggle with these type thoughts, but having somebody that you can bounce ideas off of. And if you maybe don't have somebody you're comfortable with, I'm here for you. And I promise there's no judgment, because honestly, whatever is going on in your head, it's probably going on in mine too. Sometimes we're our own worst enemies. Oh, I like what Raquel just jumped on here, and she didn't get a chance to read the article, but she says that her daily prayer and meditation time helps with my mindset. And that's really cool. So one thing that we can kind of talk about real quick is just like your morning routine. Like, what does it look like when you start your day? Do you start your day with positive thoughts, such as things that you're grateful for? Do you start your day by brain dumping, like all the stuff that you just dreamt about and all the stuff that's in your head that's clogging you up for the day? Do you put that down on paper so that you can be free and know that, okay, I'm not going to forget about it because I've written it down? Do you journal? Do you have quiet time where you're working on yourself? For some of us, that looks like sitting at a desk and reading. For some of us, that looks like going for a jog. Maybe we go to the gym and work out. But notice all those things are internal us. Like, I'm taking care of myself so that in turn, my mind is right, my body feels right, and I can then be the best fiduciary for my clients because I'm feeling good, and that will convey to them. Good call out, Raquel. Who's next?
Flipping it upside down for me, taking a dismissive statement and turning it around, finding the positive in it, and basically, the opposite of what you're saying in your head.
Thank you, Brad. So one practice that I want to encourage you guys to do, and we did not have enough time to do that in this 12-minute, 15-minute time frame. But one of the things that I actually did this week was, after reading this, and there's also some podcasts that I can send you guys if you're interested to get more content here on this guy. I actually, in my journal from the morning, instead of doing my normal thing, I just literally listed out what soundtracks I'm struggling with, or what soundtracks I'm just hearing, because some of them are really good. Like, I can do this. If it's been done before, I can too. Like, that's a great soundtrack, right? That's real positive and reaffirming. But to your point, Brad, as you list out the things that are playing on repeat in your mind, there might be some ones that are trying to tear you down or take you to a dark place, such as, especially for a new real estate agent, maybe like, what I'm doing isn't working. How many of you probably feel that way right now? Because maybe I don't have any closing scheduled. What I'm doing isn't working. Instead, how could we rephrase that to make it sound a little bit more positive and as if it's not such a downer? Maybe something like, I'm working hard every day and that will get me to my goal. That sounds a lot better and more positive and upbeat than what I'm doing isn't working. Like we hopefully I've coached y'all up in this way that what you're doing right now isn't going to show up today. I've said this many times, but what you do today shows up in 90 days, which can be scary for a lot of us. If I lead gen right now, it'll show up in hopefully closings and business 90 days from now. That's just how real estate works. It's not a right now business.
Well, that's my mantra, Josh. Thanks. That is definitely my mantra. Yeah, absolutely.
Good. So thanks, Brad. That's a great call out. So how do you take your negative self-talk and change the verbiage around to make it a positive? Flip it upside down. I don't know who iPhone is, but he or she just says, what I got out of the article was, don't let your negative thoughts get in the way of your success. The thing that I actually highlighted, I'm going to try and find it here, was in the affirmations piece down towards the bottom. Oh, Wakiki. Hey, Wakiki. The one that I thought that stood out was, the only person standing in my way is me. And I quit doing that yesterday. I love that because I was, as of yesterday, my mindset was getting in the way of my success. But I stopped that person yesterday. Now I am a new, fresh thinker. I'm a positive thinker. And I am charging into today with unlimited ceiling of success. Great call out, Wakiki. Kevin, what about you? What stood out?
I would say the idea of questioning if the thoughts are even true, or do they have any factual basis?
Yep. It's a great first question to ask yourself. Thank you. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts off this? Do you identify with this article? Like, do you identify with negative self-talk or soundtracks that are maybe impeding your progress?
I do,
Yeah.
because I'm
We did.
so I listen to my certain playlist, so that really stuck, like when I read that, so it's like, damn it, if I change my playlist, and sometimes I do, like, I just found this new, and I'm like, oh, this is, now, okay, I'm gonna do 2 more sets,
Yeah.
so if I take that and use that in life, like, that was like, so, like, I probably needed that today,
Nice.
so that was good.
Good.
And also Victor, like, when I was like when I had in my head to go to the gym, but I wasn't going to the gym, he told me to just get that voice out of my head that would allow me to go to the gym and, not use the excuse like it was saying in there, oh, it's too cold today, I don't wanna go. But, I can go and still get the results later from not just staying in because it was cold. So,
And also too, the piggyback off what you said, I learned too, like, as far as like what you just said, the days that you don't want to go and you go ahead and go, that's your best workouts. Like, cause believe me, I'm in the gym and like today, I really don't want to go, but I know if I go today, it's gonna be my best workout. So that's true.
Amen. The thing I wrote in regards to that is the thing I wrote down and I put a star next to it was, I'll feel awesome afterwards.
Mhm.
That's kind of down further in the reading. But like, how many of us wake up in the morning and we're like, I don't want to lead generate? Or how many of us get off from our 9 to 5 job and say, I don't want to focus on real estate right now? It's real. And it's okay to admit it. And you got to realize that you're just getting in your own way, and you can flip the script. You can change the soundtrack on what you're saying to yourself, because if you just tell yourself, I will feel awesome afterwards, it's just like Brandy was saying with working out. Same is true with lead generating. You're going to feel great after you do it. Even if you don't get anything from it, like from actual leads, you don't get any actual leads, you're going to feel positive that you actually did the work. What other takeaways, guys?
Personally, I've always worked on trying to stay positive, especially with the way I talk to people and the way I talk about myself. But internally, I can say that it's a fight every day to keep negative thoughts out of my head. So hearing the turn the volume down and to basically say more positive things to outweigh the negative things is something that I always take note of, and I really liked about this article.
Thanks, man. And going back to the conversation about bold, and I said earlier that it's really timely that I was talking about it. I think it's up here in Columbus at least. And Kevin, I'll look into Kentucky, but bold is coming to Columbus again. It's with a new coach, and it's going to be on Wednesdays starting, I believe it was April 5th. If there's one thing that I could encourage everyone on this call to do, it's to make time for bold. It completely shifted my mindset my first year in real estate. Tell you a quick story. I got into real estate in February of 2018, and bold was offered in spring of 2018. And our office ran like a thing to put the focus on bold, and people were signing up, and they offered scholarships to bold. So bold costs like $799, which is a lot of money. But there are scholarships you can sign up for that maybe cut that in half. And the cool thing with bold is that you can be reimbursed with each closing. So basically with each closing you get $200 back. So basically you're making bold free. So I ended up getting a scholarship and ended up going to bold, kind of thinking, man, I don't know what to expect. You're 7 weeks of like thinking about how I think, and like there's a lot of strategy in terms of real estate too, but it's mainly focusing on building a big intentional life. And from that, I became so much more of a positive, patient, loving person that it helped me way more in my personal life, which is where you spend the majority of your time, than it did even in my professional life. So I'm pulling up the calendar here. I believe, April 5th is going to be step 1 of bold. Here in Columbus, if you are available, if you can work it into your schedule, if you can work your schedule around it, it typically starts around 9 a.m. and normally ends around 1 or 2. So if you are working another job, is it possible to move your days around? Is it possible to move your hours around? Is it possible to make time for this? Because I promise you, you'll love it, or shoot, I'll pay your money back. If you attend it, and Victor, Brad, and Lauren, I know you guys have attended it before. Anyone else on this call attended it? I don't think so. But I know they've got positive things to say from it.
How many days of the week?
It's only 1 day a week. It's going to be every Wednesday. Now, it's the first session is April 5th, and then we take a week off. And then it's going to be 6 consecutive weeks starting April 19th. Why is this timing important? Because it's early spring, and by the time you're done with bold, you should have great foundation of schedule and lead gen in place. So it's a great timing to have bold. So But yeah, my mindset completely shifted when I was attending this because it forced you to focus on your thoughts. And one of those ways of doing this is through positive affirmations. So you've heard the term positive affirmations. It's simply like saying something that is positive, either internally or out loud. And over time, you will start to believe it. And the way that BOLD, the program, refers to this is through thought patterns in your brain create ruts. This is like science. I don't know how they discovered this, but having consistent thoughts builds ruts in your brain. Okay. And over time, if you continue to say, I am the best realtor around, your brain starts to believe it. And so that rut is going to be a positive rut. But so many of our ruts in our brains are negative things that we've said over and over to ourselves, like, I'm not good enough. I'm too fat. I am not smart enough to be good at this. I'm not working hard enough. People don't like me. People don't want to pick up my phone call when I'm cold calling. People don't want to see me on social media. I'm posting too much. These are all negative thoughts that I feel like most of us have probably felt at least once or twice. But you can flip the script. And like Brad said, if you start to say positive things about yourself, your brain starts to believe it. And so what he was saying, and what John was saying in here towards the bottom of his entry, was literally something that you can say each morning that will increase your capacity to perform by, like, what is it, 46% is what they said. I don't know about y'all, but anything that gives me better odds of beating the day, I'm all in on. And I'll tell you truthfully, my negative mindset, my limited beliefs kind of poo-pooed that whole positive affirmation thing when I first heard it. And then I started doing it. And lo and behold, it actually works. So saying something 5 times in a row, I'm going to get 2 listings today. I'm going to get 2 listings today. You say that over and over again, your mind starts to believe it. And then somehow the universe seems to cooperate with you. Saying positive things matters. Building those positive ruts in your mind will allow your mind to believe it, because the mind is just going off what you're feeding it.
Yeah.
So if you're feeding it garbage, it's going to give you garbage.
Just like if you feed your body garbage.
Yeah. Personal trainer over here talking. All right, so just real quickly, the things that I wrote down that I want to make sure that we all have at least bullet pointed on notes and stuff so that we can reflect on these things. This coaching session isn't just meant for us to listen to once. That's why I record it. So you notice, you'll hear when you log on, recording has started. Like, we store all this information on our YouTube channel for you to go back and reference if you need to, or if you've missed something, or if you just want to refresh or feel better about yourself. So I encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and look at those things. But also, taking notes is great. It helps you remember things. Sometimes we forget. So the things that I wrote down are, number one, when we have a negative thought, ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, is it true? Number 2, is it helpful? And then last but not least, is it kind? The other thing I wrote down, and I think this is important for all of us, is goodbye perfectionism. How many of you have waited to post anything or send a certain email because it's not perfect yet? All of us. I am a perfectionist through and through. Trust me, this is the hardest thing to swallow. And finally, it took me like maybe 2 years in the business to realize it isn't perfect. It's not going to be perfect. Push the send button. It's not perfect. It will never be perfect. Push the post button. I'm posting it. I don't care. The video has, I mess up in the video. It's not perfect. I'm going to record it. And then the next recording sucks even worse. And then I'm like, dang, I wish I would have kept the first recording. just post it. Don't think it. And I know that, some of us went to family reunion a couple weeks ago, and one of our big takeaways were don't overthink it, just do it. Be people of action. When we start getting in our own heads saying, people don't want to see this, that people will only respond kindly with likes and comments if it's perfect. The truth couldn't be further away. If you're working out for the day and you don't you can't complete a full set of 10 curls, 50 pounds, but you did 9, isn't that still good?
Or just drop the weight down.
Yeah. Like, you still got stronger that day. Okay. Let's not beat ourselves up. It's not about perfectionism. It's about getting better every day. And we only do that through getting out of our own minds. Other things I wrote down, I wrote the list of 5 things that that he said are positive affirmations that you can steal shamelessly from him. Number 1, people are trying to give me money. Number 2, I'll feel awesome after. Some of us need that dopamine hit of likes and comments and stuff on our social media, but don't let that be the end all be all. Like, I'll feel awesome after just simply means like, just do it. You're going to feel positive afterwards that you did it. Whether that's posting, lead generating, sending that email to your sphere when you didn't know if it was perfect, or you didn't know if it was going to conjure up more business for you, but you have this inkling inside that maybe it will. Good, just send it. Just do it. Be a person of action. Number 3, spare change adds up. Go a little extra every day. Ed Milet, who was the keynote speaker at Family Reunion, he just released a book. I think it's called One More, The Power of One More. If y'all want a good read, I guarantee, I haven't read it yet. I intend to. The speech he gave at Family Reunion made every single person in that place cry. Because every single person in that arena had an emotional connection to what he was saying about getting the most out of your life. When you are on your deathbed, what regrets are you going to have about the way you live life? Is it going to be that you limited yourself? Or is it going to be, man, I remember this one time at coaching when I finally got out of my own way and I just started living my best life, no more negativity. And that changed my life. And now I'm the best person that I can possibly be. The story he relays was, he feels like when you die, you go, up to heaven or down to hell, and you meet the person that you were built to be, the person, like the most complete version of you. And when you meet that person, are you going to have to say, hey, man, I see you're great. I didn't live up to that because I let negative self-talk get in my way of doing things that I knew would get me to where you are. And I love the way of thinking about that. The other way to think about that is if you had to write your own obituary today, what would that look like? Would you be proud of the person that you are today? I hope the answer is mostly yes. I don't take this as a negative. And what could we do to make that obituary shine? How could we change our thought processes, our thought patterns to realize that, hey, it ain't about perfectionism. It's just getting it done, going and putting it out there. When you think about writing your own obituary, life becomes real.
Think about that.
Number 4, pick ROI, not ego. A lot of times, man, my pride gets in the way of what I do, my decisions I make. Instead, I should be looking at black and white numbers. Hey, if I get my 20 contacts today, will I be in line to do more business? Yes. But my pride says, I don't need 20, I just need 18. Well, the numbers say the ROI is in 20. Do 20. And then spare change, do 22 instead. Number 5, pivot, don't panic. And I think he relays in this, that when COVID hit, he had to pivot his business. A lot of people panicked. A lot of people's businesses shut down. But not his. It's picked up, it sounds like. He found a niche. The market is always shifting, guys. I don't know about y'all, but if you are showing homes right now, you're probably seeing the market is going back to where we were this time last year. The market is heating up. Homes are lasting less and less days on the market. So what should that tell me? Instead of panicking and just being a victim, I'm just pivoting. I'm saying, hey, buyers, here's your update. Instead of waiting till this weekend to go see some homes, we got to get out there today. I don't want you to miss out. And what does that make you sound like? It sounds like you're the local expert and you know that you're adaptable and you're pivoting and you're enlightening and encouraging education with your agent or your clients. I hope this has been beneficial. This was a weird coaching. I know it was, like, we never have this much silent time, but I hope that it was beneficial for y'all to just slow down and read something that can maybe lift up your spirits a little bit. If nothing else, maybe fill your sails at least for the day ahead. And maybe you take away some really key components that at a foundational level can change the way you think and process information. What's that?
I like the coaching with reading.
You like the coaching with what?
With the reading.
Oh, good. So, guys, any last thoughts before we break out, leave? Just want to encourage y'all. Because you are all created uniquely. You all have different skill sets. Let's find those unique skill sets and just put them to work. Positive thinking will get you there. I promise you, you'll have a happier life. You'll be more patient. You won't flick people off in traffic like I used to, because you'll realize that's a terrible thought, right? So if you're driving down the road and if you're one of those people with road rage, like I used to be, and you say, oh, that mother effer, like that person just cut me off. And then you realize that was a really terrible negative thought. Like that wasn't truthful, because number one, I don't know their story. Maybe they're not an MFer. Maybe they are. But number two, is it helpful? That's not a helpful thought. And then it certainly isn't kind. So what should I do? I slap myself, boom. And then, okay, I got to change. Like instead of saying, oh, you MFer, I just flick you off. Instead, I do the exact opposite. I turn that on its head and I take a deep breath. And I say, God bless that person. They must have somewhere to be, or they must have to use the bathroom. And then it doesn't sound so bad. It makes me feel more positive because I'm passing grace on, and I'm not, my whole day's not ruined because I got cut off in traffic. Plus, if that person has a gun, God forbid, it's 2023. I don't know what that person's got. If I'm flicking somebody off this day and age, I better be worried about retribution. Don't put ourselves in that situation. And that's like a legit health concern. Most of the stuff that we're talking about is just little tiny thoughts throughout the day. But if we can empower our brains to think differently, man, you're going to unlock your potential. Hope this has been good, guys. If you need anything, if you need a second opinion on anything your voice is telling you, holler at me. Be happy to help, okay? Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Woo, woo, woo.